This feels so weird doing. So the car you see behind me is my 1988 Ford Mustang GT. This car has been in my family since about the early 90s. Overall, only has about 43,000 miles on it, all completely stock besides the overall radio. The key thing for it is really the importance and how I end up getting this car in general. So the story with the Mustang. So growing up, I grew up in my grandparents' household here in Hollister, North Carolina. Very small rural county in North Carolina. No stoplights, so nothing, just a small rural town. Growing up in my grandparents' house, it was me, my grandma, my grandpa, my uncle, and then my aunt and my mom, which just moved out while I was growing up. Anytime it came around holidays, special occasions, we all get together, anything around there, me, my uncle, my mom, and aunt will always argue about who gets this car when my grandparents passed. My grandparents was huge Ford people. My whole family are big, huge Ford fans, and a big question was who gets this car when they when they pass away, and like who gets to carry on that tradition. As my grandparents got older, the car began to sag a little bit more and more, and where the car had a little small problems and needed some little revamping, but it really didn't drive too much forward. Fast forward a couple years ago, we had a really bad storm that came through the community, and a tree fell and hit part of my grandparents' house and hit part of this car. When you look around it, explains some of the dents you kind of see on the overall frame and the paint of the car and some of the little hits within it also. My grandparents did had a car through the insurance company and talked to someone more about what can you do for the options. And the insurance company told them that the car is totaled based on the cost that we get to repair and fix the whole car. So my grandma was very sad, and she really considered for the first time possibly selling this car that's been in our family for so many years. I got to talking to my grandparents, and where I have me a 2012 Mustang, and convinced them to let me buy them from it instead, and moved it to my other grandpa's shop on my dad's side to begin trying to work on it and restore it. Everyone's asking about this car so much, and when I ever considered selling them, what would I do with it with the low miles and all that? And I always told them I just want to restore it back to its original form and keep the car going and stay in the family. We used to always debate about who gets this car, and I feel like it's a part of our family overall and a part of my family's legacy in general. Even growing up on my way to high school, elementary school and middle school, I remember my grandma used to drive it, and I would hold her hand and kind of switch to the gears for it. So she would operate the clutch, but I would go through everything with working the gears, and kind of started my first love for cars and Mustangs in particular. And I couldn't let it go into away from the family or anything around there. I think the last interesting thing with this car is everything that happened with my family on my dad's side and my grandpa with his old Capri in general. So this has been my grandpa's for ever since I was a little kid, before I was born in '93. My grandpa always had this car, and it had little stuff where it would run every now and then, but it's not back to the full entire form. Around the time that I got this Mustang, one of my uncles, which is my grandpa's brother, unfortunately passed away. And my grandpa began getting a little bit more closer with us as a family, just telling us things as far as remembering memories we had all together and kind of connecting within it. My grandpa is not a very talkative or emotional person in general, but when I put this Mustang here to try to restore it, one of the key things he told me was he started working on this car a little bit more and would joke and say he's gonna get this back running too so he can race at one point and kind of put both the cars at the same time. So this one Mustang in general has helped keep my family together on my mom's side, but also on my dad's side, help us kind of get a little bit more closer together, bond together overall, and kind of having that bond working out here in his shop of me trying to do something with this car and him trying to restore his car in general. And the last part, Garage Squad, what I would love for your help for is just because I want to do so much with this car, and I'm still learning how to work on cars and kind of do some of the stuff myself within it. I do live within Raleigh, North Carolina now, do it there a little bit more for work, just based on resources and work out here. And I would love to get something a little bit more going where if this car is back running and driving, to have my family's pride, take it back to my grandma and grandpa and see that I was able to get it back running and kind of back on the road ready and get it back all restored. And then also help a little bit more of my grandpa with this car and get it back going and kind of help him as he's getting a little bit older, a little bit hard for him to maneuver and move around just a little bit, but help him go within it. As far as this Mustang, overall, it has ran and drive in general Right now, I'm having a little bit of issues where it's either the battery or alternator that I'm hoping to actually troubleshoot today within it. It needs a little more revamping as far as refreshing the valve cover gaskets, things around there. Messing a little bit more with the thermostat inside the dash is not working fully due to electrical issues. And there's a little bit more upkeep and restore within it. Thankfully, there's no overall rust on the car, some general paint damage, some wear and tear you can kind of see as far as the overall outside weather stripping. We do have some of the dents here from the tree hit it. On the top, some paint came off. This little spot within it, part of the tail light got knocked out, unfortunately. And then probably the biggest spot you can see on the car overall is this big dent right here within the side subframe where most of the tree hit as it hit part of my grandparents' house. The lighting isn't the best in the shop, but you can see also part of the motor and everything within it. All completely, once again, completely stock and original. And the inside is in pretty good condition. Everything is how the car came back in 1988. A little bit of cleaning where the stripping is going just a little bit. And the only thing my grandparents ever changed was the radio, which unfortunately doesn't work anymore now. So that's kind of the story with this car and everything with it. This is a big shot in the dark and kind of a dream come true. I would love to welcome you all out here to the country part of northeastern North Carolina. Out here within the shop a little bit. Bond with me, my grandpa, my dad, my brothers, all that into one. Feels very weird doing a recording for the first time. But if you want to come out, do more with the car, and learn more about the story, feel free to reach out to me.